You guys, I'm telling the truth when I say that I'm experiencing something quite unusual. All fine, I am experiencing some discomfort. I am not sure why this is the case, but I am getting a very strange feeling when I am looking at charts of XRP. All right, it's as if it's telling me that something negative might be on the way and it's connected to the OCT dominating chart. Is it therefore possible to make a prediction about something that is only around the corner? It is possible that it is a black zone incident. We should make an effort to look into this, take a look at this individual. What is going on here? It appears to be related to the crypto nexus talk. Hence, so is Paolo correct. On the date of November 26th, which was either yesterday or today, but I think it was today, the CEO of Tether tweeted out that he thought that Bitcoin Black Friday was happening. Black Friday discounts the cryptocurrency Bitcoin on November 26, 2021. What was the date and what events took place around that time? We went into this lengthy correction, and I can say with certainty that if we were to dump, I don't believe it would be like this at all. I believe it's going to be completely different. I believe it will be a rapid process. I believe it will be swift. Nevertheless, something that reinforces this notion that we will most likely be heading much further down is this graph. Okay, so I am unsure whether you all have been observing these really insane graphs, fellas, but I have been doing so without interruption every single day. All right, have a look at this. I find this to be quite strange. This is a comparison of XRP to SPIT. All right, what do you all observe? We purchased the huge liquidation candle. All right, we began to consolidate within this range on October 10th, and we have continued to do so. But guess what has been going on recently? Okay, we are now in an uptrend right now, but the really odd thing about this rise is that XRP is suddenly moving up. XRP versus USC is not on an upswing when the pairing of XRP versus Bitcoin is essentially on an upswing. As a result, this is an indication that Bitcoin has been dying. XRP has been able to maintain a tremendously powerful position in relation to Bitcoin, as we can see above. And other alternative cryptocurrencies have done the same. Typically, when Bitcoin dumps, all of the quads are killed off, which I don't believe I have ever witnessed. There was one occasion in which I did actually witness it. It was during the Blackstone events, which we refer to as the very bottom of the Bitcoin market. However, it was during the FTX, I think. In that case, Bitcoin created a new bottom, but the altcoins created a higher low. I have only encountered this individual once in my entire life. However, we ought to check over our USCC.dominus chart as I have developments of a significant nature. This is the thing that we discussed extensively while we were on the 5th day. You all recall that, right? Is that not correct? At that same moment, we made the call for the cast of Bad News Bears. The moment that we were able to confirm the candle and maintain support above the 5-day moving average, we declared that we were in the midst of a storm. We have weathered the storm since we are now beneath it. Sunlight and colorful arcs in the sky. What do you think we are doing at this very moment, everyone? Can you please confirm that this was the 5th day? We have finally made it to the 3rd day of this journey, and it is starting to appear in greater numbers. Not just the 3-dimensional, but the 2-dimensional as well. Major, major, major. Take a look at how many times it has withstood resistance in the past. It is the first time that his is about to happen. Although I actually anticipated this move a long time ago, the footage is literally in my possession. I need to check to see whether I actually have the video. I stored all, this chart will probably behave in this manner and then expire. Is that correct? That is the reason for this, and that is also the reason for the fact that XRP has not been collapsing. This is because it signifies that they are safeguarding the price of XRP in anticipation of the moment when Bitcoin actually collapses in this manner. Is that right? It is not going to die too hard, so other people will have to bear the blame. But it is going to happen, right? XRP is likely to only return to $2, whereas Bitcoin will be all the way back up to 80K or maybe even something like $90,000. Allow me to check if I am able to locate the video. Would you take a look at this, please? That's right. I believe that I shared this around 2 weeks ago. What position did XRP occupy? Bitcoin was valued at $110,000 and XRP was priced at $2.57. Correct. Yet, this was a subject of discussion between us some time ago. Guys, this is the sole connection I was able to find. It was in my notepad. I understand, but I believe that the route that I sketched out here is the one that I am going to follow. All right, and that is the reason we now know why altcoins and XRP in particular are not seeing as severe of a price drop. The reason for this is that they are holding on to their current value in anticipation of Bitcoin's eventual and ultimate collapse. When that time comes, altcoins will unleash their final lower value. Perhaps we should allow me to play this video so that I can see what I had to say in this video because I don't recall too much of it. I am of the belief that this chart is going to increase further like this, and that at some point in time it will reach its peak. It is going to top out at 126, and when we do skyrocket, gentlemen, or when this chart plummets, cryptocurrencies are skyrocketing. It's going to take place quite quickly, in my opinion. Since they are accumulating all of this liquidity, which will be taken at some point in time, that is impressive. Therefore, that was simply an incredibly remarkable example of the straightforward process of 1, 2, 3, which indicates that when it comes to DCT, there are still some ways to go before this chart, which looks like a diamond, is correct. Do you believe that for Bitcoin, that would bring the total to that amount, correct? Is it correct that the prior highest score was on the test that was re-administered? After that, we will take flight. That is the reason I have been curious in the way that XRP has been maintaining an incredibly strong position. Take a look at this. Shouldn't we shift our focus to the 5-minute chart? Take a look at this. Can you tell me what it is? It's been literally dumping and recovering for an infinite amount of time now, isn't that right? And now take a look at this. It pumps, it dumps, it sets the correct price, and it safeguards itself. Then it pumps once more. That was due to the Bitcoin dump. That was a dump of ETF news. Extremely interesting material, everyone. All right, a magical coin that is on the verge of plummeting off a cliff. There is no doubt that this is something different. What we are really comparing here is Bitcoin to gold, folks. And incidentally, the trend line dates all the way back to the year 2013, which is more than a decade ago. It has now been violated. All right, so I understand that there is support for the idea of support. If it were to break out earlier this year, out of it and held the resistance, and now it's finally following through with the trend of possibly a reversal downwards, right? So I know for a fact that the cycle hasn't topped out, right? We're not at the end of the bull market, but I think we will go lower before we G. Oh, we had higher. Okay, everyone. Credible Crypto has expressed his thoughts regarding this issue. He actually mapped out some interesting path that Bitcoin could go, which gets us back to its prior. The outcome that would follow, the outcome that we would anticipate occurring, is that throughout this period of sideways chop on Bitcoin, we would anticipate that money would be distributed out of Bitcoin, that it would flow out of Bitcoin, and that it would be transferred into altcoins. It is important to keep in mind that in the highly improbable case that Bitcoin is peaking here, the assumption is that money is being withdrawn from Bitcoin. However, this is only to play devil's advocate, since I believe it is quite unlikely. This would then be a distribution top, and during distribution tops, the major players are taking profits and selling their Bitcoin. Once again, it is not uncommon for money to flow to altcoins when Bitcoin is distributed as profits are taken. This is a pattern that has been observed in previous cycles. Following the distribution of Bitcoin, capital is then transferred to smaller coins that can be pumped more easily and can therefore generate more money in a significantly shorter amount of time. As a result, we experience an alternative season. Even in the case where we are faced with the most pessimistic situation that one could conceive of, which is that we are at the pinnacle, that the fifth and final wave is finished, and that we are collapsing, we would yet anticipate the occurrence of a substantial alternative season. Gentlemen, this is really fascinating to say the least. He is of the belief that, although I was unaware of this, he states that even if we are at the top, we will still experience an alt season. I am of the opinion that it will not follow this course of action. I believe that we will choose to follow this route. I have no idea in what context he mentions this. However, he created a line that extended back to his previous alternative time high. I believe that it is for a retest. It's so blurry that I'm unable to make anything out. I believe that to be the case, absolutely. Following that, we are able to recover from V-shaped. That is so bizarre because I drew the exact same thing, correct, in a literal sense. In addition, I did not witness this video at any point. This is quite intriguing. This is the outcome that I believe will transpire. Is that not correct? Within the next few months and things like to that, as you are aware, if we decide to go with the pre-facilitium high men, then everyone is going to be clamoring for the bear markets and everyone is going to be running through the streets, don't you think? Everyone is screaming like there is no hope because every single indication is going to be murdered. Everything is going to be destroyed, but we know the game plan. You are aware of what has to be done. The cost basis of those who provide